Hey guys, so today we have another Dodge Dart video. Sorry if my voice isn't exactly normal, but I have been battling some spring allergies and I just wanted to put out this video. So if you didn't know, the Dart SRT4 was actually confirmed at one point in time, but it ultimately did not make it. About a month ago I posted a video called the 2013 to 2016 Dodge Dart, what happened, major flaws, and why it got cancelled. So that video gives you guys an idea of the brief history and specs of the car, and also outline the major flaws of why this car got cancelled. That's kind of the foundation for this video, because obviously Dodge couldn't make an SRT4 for a car that was no longer being sold. If you do want all the in-depth information, make sure to watch that video, but I'll quickly summarize the 7 flaws that I found for the Dart leading to its cancellation. So first, the car was rushed to market and automatics were not available for the first few months of sales. There was also a lack of sales in general. They diverted from brand strategy for this car. There was too much customization. The car was too big and heavy for the segment. And there was poor marketing and questionable decision making. So let's get into this topic. We're going to talk about the Dart SRT4 and also a few Dart concepts. The GTS 210 Tribute, the 2014 Scat package, and the GLH. There was also a Dart RT concept, but I just don't have enough time to cover that in this video. If you see any pictures in this video that don't look like a normal Dart, it's probably going to be a picture of one of those concepts, or an SRT illustration. As with many Dodge vehicles, as soon as the Dart was released, many were wondering whether an SRT model would come out. Chrysler as a whole had many of the performance bases covered in 2013 and 2014 when the Dart was first released. SRT had a luxury sedan with the Chrysler 300 SRT8, they had a muscle car with the Dodge Challenger 392, they had the SUV covered with the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, and they even had a performance coupe with the 2013 Viper SRT. So this left a hole for the performance sport compact market, where the Dart SRT would have fit in perfectly. In fact, my top comment on my last Dart video reads, quote, "SRT trim would have made me buy this car," end quote, and that has over 200 likes. The Dart had potential, but it was just too average in almost every aspect. The Dart wasn't the fastest, or the most fuel efficient, or the most comfortable, or the most reliable. It just wasn't a class leader in anything. An SRT model would have totally changed that and revived some nostalgia for the many that loved and owned the neon SRT4s. So originally, Ralph Gilles, who used to be president and CEO of the SRT brand, had tweeted out some hints that the Dart SRT4 would be coming out. Going back to May 6th of 2014, that was around the day where the Dart SRT was confirmed by FCA. This confirmation came from their 2014 upcoming 5-year plan. If we look at a presentation report released from FCA, we can see that there were definitely some future plans for this Dart. In 2016, for its mid-cycle action, they wanted to align the powertrain to brand DNA, which I assume means add more power, since it was a Dodge vehicle and they were focusing on adding performance at this time with things like the Hellcat Charger and Challenger. We can also look at their brand product plan for Dodge, which pretty much sums it up. You can see that the Dart SRT was projected to release in December of 2016, and the regular Dart was also going to get a refresh for 2016 as well. If we look at the performance of your normal Dart, it was quite lackluster. It had 3 engine and transmission choices: a Tiger Shark 2-liter engine with 160 horsepower and 148 pound-feet of torque, a 1.4-liter Fire multi-air turbo with 160 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, and a Tiger Shark 2.4-liter multi-air with 184 horsepower and 171 pound-feet of torque. The transmission offerings were a choice of a 6-speed auto, 6-speed manual, or 6-speed dual dry clutch, and 0 to 60 was anywhere from 7.8 to 9 seconds, not exactly performance oriented. So now let's look at what we know about that Dart SRT4. There were tons of rumors about the types of power plant, but not a lot of good concrete information. We do know that the Dart SRT would have had a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, it was going to be all-wheel drive, and they wanted to hit around 300 horsepower to compete with their rivals at the time, which would have been cars like the Subaru WRX and Ford Focus. If we quickly look at those rival options, looking at 2015 models, the Subaru WRX had a 2-liter engine with 268 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. The Ford Focus ST also had a 2-liter turbocharged 4 with 252 horsepower, 270 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 of 6.1 seconds. So the Dart would have had to have power and performance numbers within this range, and also be priced a bit below $30,000 to be competitive. There are many possible engine options for the Dart SRT. Some reports were calling for a beefed up 2-liter or 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine. If we look back to the Dodge Caliber SRT4, that engine was a 2.4-liter world engine that made 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. The Tiger Shark engines were the next generation of world engines, as they had an updated valve train and intakes. So the production on these Tiger Shark engines started right after Fiat acquired Chrysler, so a turbocharged Tiger Shark engine was entirely a possibility, and projections for that would have been at least 260 horsepower. Another option was a 1.7-liter Turbo 4 that was found in some Alfa Romeo models. The Dart shares a platform with the Alfa Romeo Giulietta. The top-of-the-line version of that is called the Quadrifoglio Verde in Europe, or Cloverleaf in the UK. These cars get that 1.7-liter Turbo 4, but it would have been a little underpowered in the Dart, with around 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. This engine is also in the Alfa Romeo 4C in North America, and the 4C can do 0 to 60 in around 5.3 seconds with that engine, but that car does weigh over 700 pounds less than the Dart, so this engine doesn't really make sense to be in the Dart SRT. Another option for SRT would have been to throw the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 in there, which would have had roughly 300 horsepower, and they could have rebadged the car as an SRT6 instead. This probably would have added too much weight though, and taken away from the handling. Finally, one last option was FCA's Global Medium engine. There were two variations, a Giorgio for European Alfa Romeo cars, and a Hurricane engine for American vehicles. This was a 2-liter 4-cylinder, and production began in 2016, and recently this engine has been made available for several models like the Jeep Wrangler and Jeep Cherokee, where it makes 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, which would have been perfect numbers for the Dart. So had the Dart lived on past 2016, we very well could have seen this Hurricane engine thrown in there. Out of all these possible options, the Turbo Tiger Shark or Hurricane engines would have been the most practical, and if they were paired with the right transmission, this Dart could have ripped 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, making it a pretty good performance vehicle for the segment. As for looks, there are many concepts and renderings that went around the internet, but the SRT model would have probably had your typical SRT features, so that's things like aggressive styling, different bumpers, body kit, rear diffuser, functional hood scoop and vents, rear spoiler of some sort, and likely 19-inch forged aluminum wheels. Inside we could probably expect sport bucket seats and a sporty steering wheel, and for performance, other than the engine, it probably would have gotten a stiffer suspension and dual exhaust system. And the price for something like this would have probably been close to or just above the $30,000 mark. So about a year and a half later, in September 2015, we saw the Dodge Dart GLH. The SRT had already been announced, but there were reports that the GLH might take its place instead at the top of the Dart lineup. This pays tribute to another old car, the Dodge Omni, which first got a GLH model in 1984. GLH stands for Goes Like Hell, and what you see on screen is the concept that Dodge brought to the 2015 SEMA Auto Show. This model didn't really go like hell though, since it still had a regular 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine with just 184 horsepower, but at this point, Dodge was expecting to put that Hurricane Turbo 4-cylinder in this car when it was ready. The GLH got pitch black paint with a body kit, front splitter, side sills, rear diffuser, and Hellcat style hood up front. The wheels are an 18-inch lightweight version of the ones that are found on today's Dodge Charger Scat packs, and hot red pinstripe accents complete the look. Inside there were catskin leather seats, Mopar sill plates, pedal kit, shift knob, and floor mats. And for performance, there were upgraded brakes, sport suspension, and a catback exhaust system. At the time in 2015, many people truly believed that this might be a prototype of the Dart SRT model. As we know, there were plans to unveil some type of Dart SRT in December of 2016, but unfortunately the car didn't live that long. On January 27 of 2016, FCA announced that the Dodge Dart production would be cancelled with no new model for 2017, and all the SRT and GLH speculation was put to rest. Now before ending off the video, I just want to talk about two other Dart concepts that were released in the early years of the Dart, because these are also other samples of the kind of visual and performance features that the Dart SRT could have had. Otherwise, that's all I have for today on the Dart SRT story. So as for those concepts, first is the 2013 Dodge Dart GTS 210 tribute. This was a concept that was put out at the 2012 Chicago Auto Show to pay tribute to the Dart GTS variations in the 1960s, and the 210 represented the horsepower output for a tuned version of the 2.4-liter Tiger Shark. As we've discussed, the regular was just 184 horsepower. For a Dart, this was pretty cool, and there was Stage 1 and Stage 2 packages that Mopar actually wanted to release to the public, but never did. If you're wondering, Stage 1 had visual upgrades like a carbon fiber hood with a scoop, 18-inch forged aluminum 10-spoke titanium wheels, and a matte black spoiler, front splitter, side sills, and rear diffuser. The inside of Stage 1 got ruby red seats, door panels, and armrest, along with a red and black leather wrapped steering wheel and different floor mats. Stage 2 was all about performance, so as I've said, the engine got a 26 horsepower upgrade with a cold air intake, catback exhaust, and tweaked ECU, and there was also cross-drilled rotors, anti-roll bars, and a suspension drop of 1 inch for a more aggressive stance. Another noteworthy concept was the 2014 Dodge Dart Scat package that was released at the 2013 SEMA show in Las Vegas. This was basically a Dart GT, but they offered 3 different kits, Scat Package 1, 2, and 3. The first package added a Mopar cold air intake, short throw shifter, and performance brakes. The second added an optimized engine calibration so that it would run on premium octane, along with a catback exhaust. And the third added a Mopar big brake kit with stainless steel lines, a performance suspension with adjustable springs and struts, and front and rear sway bars. Again, we see a different look to the Dart with the Hellcat type hood, small chin splitter, rear diffuser, and 3-piece deck lid spoiler. The exhaust is dumped at the side, and those are the Charger Scat Pack wheels again, 19 by 8 inches this time. So there you have a few more ideas and pictures of what a Dart SRT could have looked like. If you're still watching, that's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed taking a look back at the story of the Dart SRT. If the SRT Dart had been released, would you have been interested in buying one? Or for Dart owners, would you guys have liked to see those packages offered on the concepts? I personally think that the SRT model would have been a really awesome version to add to the Dodge lineup, and as long as it had a lot more powers than the regular versions, it could have been a huge hit and appeal to many Neon SRT4 fans from the past. As always, thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe for all your Mopar content, and I'll see you next video.